important? Why this conference ends with an advocacy day on Monday, and why are we going on the Hill? So let's start with advocacy. What is advocacy? What is advocacy? What does the word advocacy mean to you?
Speaking out.
Speaking out? Okay. Yeah, speaking out. So when you're advocating for something.
Promoting support for an issue.
I'm sorry?
Promoting support for an issue.
Promoting support for an issue that you care about, yes.
Relaying to others the reasons that the issue is so important and like why it's pertinent that you take action.
You're educating others as to why this issue is important. Okay.
Taking the issue to the public light, like if there's something occurring in a community, like taking action or people know about it.
Okay, so taking the issue you care about and making it bigger. Saying this is what I care about and this is why all of you should care about it. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so this is pretty good. We have 4 bullet points, but they're very, very specific and they're very good. So advocacy is when you want something to happen, you care about something. So you're so you're trying to convince everyone else that can help you get to where you want to be, make it happen. And you do it every day. You know, if you want something from your parents, say, oh, I need a new pair of running shoes, for example. And you advocate for it. You say, hey, I need a new pair of shoes because X, Y, and Z. I need a raise in my, salary. And you say, because, I've been doing a great job, and you convince people, right? So this is, you advocate for everything and anything every day. So you do this more than you think you do, and this is what we're going to be doing on the Hill. So somebody said that take issue to the public, speaking out, promoting support. So you're also educating somebody. Say you go to the policymaker and you say, I care about access to international family planning. And they say, well, okay, that's great, good for you, why? And then you say, well, because X, Y, and Z, and we'll tell you why, right? And then so you educate them and you tell them why they should care as well. So this is about, advocacy is also about education. And then, that's all.
Yeah. So, and I think that, the great importance of your lobby day on Monday is, right, I've said, I'm up on Capitol Hill 2 to 3 days a week talking about these same issues that you're going to be talking about. Some of you, heard Janine speak earlier during the HIV/AIDS panel, same thing. We can go up there all day, every day, and go to these offices and spout facts and figures, and, we do this for a living. So we have to, for me personally, working predominantly on domestic sex education, I have to know the ins and outs of every little intricacy. I mean, my knowledge and history of sex education funding and policy in this country, and HIV/AIDS funding and policy in this country, is a little mind-blowing even myself. That's what I can do all day, every day. It's important. But the reason for your lobby day and the importance to that on Monday, I think, is even more important because you all are the ones that are actually the constituents of these members. And for anyone that doesn't know the term constituent, because I know I'll probably say it quite a few times, Nikki probably will too, it means that you live in the state of the senator, or you live in the district, thank you, like the town, county, the district of the representative. And so you actually can vote them in office. You can elect someone else to replace them in office. A couple notes, there's some international folks. You have those voices too, and it's important for them to also hear from you, particularly as we're talking about global and domestic issues. And as I've said earlier, domestic is part of the global, and kind of in that we're all one voice sort of way. You said earlier you're 17. You're not voting yet. Hopefully you will be in a year. That's fine too. So everyone has a voice, and you're still a constituent, even if you can't quite vote yet because you're not 18. And so, one, there's the importance of you're a constituent. So I can go and talk to these offices. At the end of the day, I can't elect them or unelect them. I can just ask them what I want them to do and tell them I represent people in their district. And you're also young people. And the most important piece is for you to tell your story. I can do all the facts and figures, tell you some facts and figures, you've been hearing lots of facts and figures. You telling your story is the most important thing. So don't think that you need to be an expert on all these things. Because what you need to be an expert in is your life, why you're here this weekend, why you care about these issues. That's what you need to be an expert in. But I can't be an expert in your story and why you care about sex education or about international family planning or about abortion rights or about HIV/AIDS. So that's why we're so excited that you all are going to be up on the Hill, because we've had plenty of times where I've gone to office after office after, gone to the same office several times and like, hey, this is the right thing to do, and here's the evidence, and here's the statistics, and here's the data from your, state, and they nod their head. And then young people go in and say, this is why our community needs sex education in schools, and tells the story of what's happening in their community or what's happened to them. Then they get it, and then they can sign on to the legislation. So that's why I'm so excited as someone that does this every day that you all will be up on Capitol Hill on Monday. So how we're gonna break this down, there's kind of two parts to the training from here on. Is Nikki and I are gonna walk through what's a typical Hill visit look like. When you're going up, everything from walking in the front door and what that all looks like, to how a meeting should go, to tips for effective visits. So we're gonna kind of walk through all those different pieces, and then we're gonna get into the asks. Very wonky term, but basically means what are you up there talking about? So we're gonna go through the domestic ask, which is co-sponsor the Real Education for Healthy Youth Act that you heard about in your Politics of Sex Education panel, and then go through the international asks, which you heard about during the what was that called? Global SRH panel. So we're gonna go through in more detail what your asks are gonna be, your talking points, all of that. So you by the end of this session, and then by the end of, you'll get your state groups and who you're gonna be visiting and all that, you'll be so prepped and ready for Monday at Sign and Play. Okay? So for everyone who hasn't done this before, everyone who has, deep breath. It's gonna be really good. So I'm gonna walk through a typical lobby visit. And you have a sheet on the left side of your folder that says 5 steps of a successful lobby visit. Everyone take that out now and then put it down. Does everyone have a folder? Does everyone have one? Anyone else? Okay. So take 5 steps of a successful lobby visit out and then put it down, because I'm going to walk you through kind of what's going to happen. We're going to give you your schedule, you're going to have your members, you're going to know, most of you will be meeting with staff. So there's members of Congress, and then there's all the people that work for all the issues. Usually you have a health staffer, an education staffer, a women's issues staffer, energy staffer. There's staffers on all the various issues that Congress has, and some people have 3 issues, so they have to know everything about health, education, and oil. It's very confusing to me. Staff are the gateway. They're the gatekeepers to their bosses on these issues. So when I go to the Hill, every once in a while I meet with a member, I'm usually meeting with the health staffer. I'm usually meeting with the person who is that knowledge bank for the member of Congress. And when an issue comes up in Congress, the member goes to that staffer and says, kind of in that, what do we think about this issue? Who's come to visit you on this issue? What do I need to know about this issue? So don't think, oh, I'm not meeting with the member of Congress, this isn't important. I hardly ever meet with the member of Congress. Member of Congress has to be engaged on all those different issues. You're talking to the person who's the gatekeeper of information, and who also will report to their boss, to the member of Congress. A group of young people came in today to talk about this, they want us to co-sponsor this. Here's what they said, here's the bill, da 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 da. Okay? So, most staffers are between the ages of roughly 22 to 35. They're younger. There's high turnover rate on the Hill, because they work a bazillion hours, just in case any of you are interested in working on the Hill. It's great, I hear good things. You work a lot of hours. So there's high turnover. So when you're up there, it's like you're talking to me, it's like you're talking to Nikki. Some of you, it's like you're talking to yourselves, So every once in a while it'll be someone who's older, that's fine too. But for the most part, you're talking to someone who's 35 or younger, okay? So you're gonna walk in, there'll be usually 1 or 2 people sitting at a front desk in an office. You're gonna tell them you have an appointment with so-and-so at whatever time. We'll give you all this information later, so you don't have to worry about that now. And then usually you'll sit in the lobby, and you'll wait. And then the staffer will come out, and the staffer will either take you if they are not in session tomorrow, so some of you will go into the member's office, which is always fun. I kind of like that too. You get to see what all the members done and stuff in their fancy offices. So some of you will go in the member's office. Some of you will have meetings in a back room. Some of you will have meetings in the lobby around a table or on the couches in the lobby. Some of you will have hallway meetings. Some of you will get taken to the cafeteria. One big piece, and we'll talk about tips for a successful visit, is be super flexible. Be super flexible. Some meetings will last 45 minutes. Some meetings will last 5 minutes. It depends how busy the staffer is that day. None of it is an indication on you or that they're shirking you. Don't take it like that. I have meetings that last an hour and a half sometimes, and I have meetings that last 5 minutes because the staff doesn't have time, and it's like, okay, what do you need from me? Most of your visits will be 15 to 25 minutes. So that's kind of what we're gonna plan for, is a little, less than half an hour. So how's the meeting actually gonna go? So the first thing that you're gonna do once you, sit down with the staffer is you're gonna introduce yourselves. You'll be in groups. So everyone knows, I should have said, no one's doing this by themselves, okay? Everyone's in groups of roughly 4 to 5 people. Yes, maybe. Some of you have 6, some have 3, whatever. But you're not gonna be by yourselves. So there'll be, you'll have your cohort from your state or from your area. So we put together, if you're from, I know there's a group that's like Georgia and Alabama, got smushed together. So you'll be with folks from your area. You're gonna go in, and the first thing you're gonna do is introduce yourselves. And usually there'll be a person who is the constituent for that particular office. So for the senators, it'll be everyone from that state is a constituent. For the representatives, there'll be one person usually, some places there's a couple, who are the constituent. That should be the person who leads the meeting and who says in the introduction, I'm the constituent. Because they get listened to a little bit more. Not that everyone else will also be listened to, but we only set up meetings with people that you all, we're actually representing you all, okay? So you want to introduce yourselves. You want to say your name. You want to say where you're from. You want to say if you're a constituent, and you want to tell them what you're there to talk about in that very broad stroke. It's kind of the opening to the meeting. I would also suggest, and take that question in a second, that you tell them that you're here as part of the One Voice Reproductive Health and Environment Summit, and that you're just a small group of a cohort of young people that are on the Hill talking about these issues. The staff kind of talk to each other, and we kind of want to create a buzz around these issues, right? So I had young people that came in and talked to me about sex education and international family planning and UNFPA. I had people, and so kind of get a buzz going about these issues. So that's going to be the first piece. And everyone's going to introduce themselves, not just the constituent, but everyone. Did you have a clarifying question?
Yes, so to be a constituent, you have to be an American citizen.
Yes, yes, yes. But again, even if you're not, I will say the technical word of use of the word constituent, yes, because it's whether you can vote for that person or not. But if you live in an area, you also have influence over other people in your area, so they also care about that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good question. So then you're gonna talk about your asks, right? And we kind of split this into 2 different pieces. The first piece is the message, and then there's your message. For you all, your message is much more important. But the message, I say the message, it's what's the ask. So for the domestic one, it's become an original co-sponsor of the Real Education for Healthy Youth Act. And we'll go through this in more detail. For the international, what's the one line for international?
Support maximum levels of international family planning.
So
U.S. assistance for international family planning.
if you say nothing else in the message portion except those 2 sentences, and then tell your story, successful lobby visit. Okay? That's success. Those are the 2 sentences you have to say because they need to know why you're there. You want to ask them something. This is about educating them, but also, you know, it's the education and it's the convincing, but it's also the taking action. And you want them to actually take action. You want them to do something concrete, okay? The message is also things like talking points. So we're gonna go through talking points for the asks. It's any stats you might have. Again, you're not expected to know all the stats and figures, but if you have any, or you know any, those sorts of things. And it's what you want to get across and why. Okay, so that's the message. Then there's your message, and we're going to take some time later before we do a role play, everybody's favorite. Why should they listen to you? This is, you know, oftentimes when I'm on the Hill, I'm bringing stories like what you all are going to tell on people's behalf to get that point across. Why do you do this work? Why is sex education important to you? Why is international family planning important to you? Why is women's rights important to you? Why is HIV prevention important to you? What brings you to this table? This purposeful table. You know, why are you on Capitol Hill? Why did you want to be, you know, a participant in the One Voice Summit for this weekend? Those are some of the things to think about. Some of you will have that instantaneous story that, you know, I had an unintended pregnancy, or my best friend had an unintended pregnancy, or an HIV scare, or I traveled to India, or I'm from Nepal and this is what's happening. You know, others of you do this because we care about people. And we know that this is right for people. And young people have a right to information. So there is a broad swath of what your message is. So I say that because sometimes people tell me, oh, I don't have that like compelling story. All of you have a compelling story. Some of it will pop like that, and sometimes it's, you know, again, why are you sitting at this table? Why did you want to be here this weekend? Okay. Then you want to ask for commitment. So you've said the 2 lines, you know, that you want them to become an original co-sponsor, that you want them to support international family planning. You want to ask them for what you want them to do. Ask them that yes or no question. It is one of the hardest things to do as an activist and as a lobbyist sometimes, is asking the question, will your boss co-sponsor the Real Education for Healthy Youth Act? Will your boss support international family planning? And you want that yes or no answer. Now, a lot of staff can't answer yes or no. They're not the boss. Oftentimes they will say, I need to take this to my boss, I can't answer that. That's not them shirking it. Sometimes you'll get especially for international family planning, yes, my boss supports that. Yes, they will do what they can. If you're visiting champions, we'll talk about champions versus antis, you know, later. Some of them will immediately say, yes, I'll get my boss signed on to that bill. It's an obvious right. Sometimes they say, I need to go talk to my boss. That's fine. But they know, and they need to know exactly what you want them to do. So asking that yes or no question is very important. Then you want to give them leave behind materials. We will give those to you. You always want to leave them with something so that they can, even if they just file it away in the International Family Planning folder, in the sex education folder, later when it comes up again, they're combing through stuff and they find our leave behinds. We're going to give those to you. And then you want to say thank you. It's always important. These folks are taking their time. They work hard, okay? Even if they oppose everything that you stand for, the staff work hard. They support everything that they work hard. So you want to thank them for their time because they have usually, you know, 10 meetings like you all throughout the day. So just to keep that in mind. And we're going to go through additional tips that'll also be kind of how to talk about these issues and whatnot. Are there any